I have some very exciting news for you about Expedition to Soul, the podcast. And if you've been around with us here at the Sisters Enchanted for, I don't know, years and years, go back to 2019 even, then you have probably heard of our class, Expedition to Soul. Well, I am really excited to let you know that in celebration of 1 million podcast downloads, that's right, 1 million podcast downloads. That is so many words in people's ears. We are going to teach a version of our Expedition to Soul class live. It's happening April 26th through the 29th. It will happen on YouTube as live videos, and we'll put the replay audio of the video onto our podcast so that the podcast listeners like yourself can listen to it on the go as well and enjoy this Expedition to Soul experience. So it's going to start on the Friday, I believe, the 26th. That's going to happen Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday over 4 days live to go through an Expedition to Soul together. You don't have to do anything to sign up. It's just going to happen live, and then we'll have the replays for you. Thank you so much for being part of our 1 million downloaded episode extravaganza and all of the years that we've been putting this podcast together. We are still hosting replay episodes through the spring. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the next replay episode for you, or the next coffee chat, because we're putting those on the podcast as well once per week. Whatever is on deck for you today, I'm going to go ahead and get that playing, and I'll see you April 26, 27, 28, and 29 to celebrate 1 million podcast downloads with a little bit of Expedition to Soul. If the word witch makes you feel full of power and excitement, if you love personal development but loathe boring love and light conversation, if a sexy combo of witchery and inner work piques your interest, you're in the right place. Welcome home, Magic Maker, and welcome to Expedition to Soul, the podcast brought to you by the Sisters Enchanted. Hello. I think we're good. Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is our Sunday coffee chat. Y'all ready for the Scorpio full moon this week? I know I am. What else is happening? This is not an astro forecast. We've got several astrologers on the team. I am not one of them, but we've got Uranus and Jupiter conjunct in Taurus yesterday. I think that happened, and they'll be in the same degree, 21 degrees for a few days next up. And then Tuesday we have our Scorpio full moon, and then Thursday Mercury goes direct in Aries, and I can say without a doubt that I'm very excited for that. It's been quite the Mercury retrograde for me. So good morning, everybody. It's time for our Sunday coffee chat. I will remind you to look at your planner, think about the week ahead. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because I believe it was Sarah Kearney who was a podcast guest of ours at one point in time last year. So you can go find her on YouTube and our podcast and hear from Sarah. She's a delight to talk to, but she came across that saying or heard it, and it got her thinking about intentions, because we talk about intention setting here. And then of course I was like, oh, I love that. And I have thoughts. So we're going to talk about that today. Keep us to about a half an hour. I'm hitting the road to drive up to Salem, Massachusetts. We're hosting some of our mastermind members on Tuesday. And then we're going to hang out for the day, make some full moon magic. And Team TSE, I think Kelly's not coming, but we've got Patty flying in from California. Jenna and her family from Michigan are already in Massachusetts. They've been there for a few days. Naomi, who works with me behind the scenes, arrived in Connecticut. She stayed at my house last night. We're headed up today, and Anna's coming in tomorrow. So we've got a TSE, one of our community members, Nicole's getting married Wednesday night in Salem. So we got a wedding to go to. We got a team photo shoot Wednesday. We got masterminders Tuesday, and a fun week ahead of us. So I'm excited to hit the road, which I'm doing as soon as we get off of here. Everyone wants to be in the car so we can run off. Hopefully Mercury retrograde is good to us on the short jaunt up there. All right. This is your weekly reminder to take your calendar and look at the week ahead and think about what it is that you're doing with your time, your energy, your body, your home, your relationships. When I ask you and I invite you to plan for the week ahead on a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever day works for you, it's an invitation to really vision for the week ahead. The planner becomes the vision board. Now, we all have similar barriers. I was just talking about this last night with my husband and Naomi about food and meal prep and, taking the time to do these things and like that. We love the convenience of buying like a delicious salad out at a deli or something, but then won't take the time to make it at home. And it's so interesting how we do that to ourselves and the decisions we make and then the ramifications of those decisions. So taking this time and asking yourself for the week ahead, what are the things I have to do this week? Where do I have to be at a certain time? Is that a job, an appointment, people you have to take care of, commitments that you've made and you need to follow up with them? All of that goes on the calendar. Then looking at the space that's left and really asking yourself, what are your top 3 priorities right now? And how do you fit that into your calendar? So for me, for example, my top 3 priorities at the moment, and just for this week, actually, because this week is a very different week. I don't normally have all of these things happening that keep me very busy. So my priorities this week, work is a number 1 priority. A lot of TSE time taken up the week this week. And honestly, I don't even really have 2 more priorities. Probably if I'm looking at the whole week till next Sunday, really just work for this week because Naomi is here. She's staying with me until next Monday. So we're going to do a lot of work when we get back home to Connecticut too. And so I just am already knowing for this next week, I'm not worried about family time and I'm not worried about like anything else that I might want to do. Hobbies, sticking those on the back burner this week because it's just not going to happen. It's a busy week and I'm focused on one thing. And then I want to think about my values for the week in terms of food, in terms of how I want my body to feel, and already think ahead. What do I need to do to set myself up for success in that area? What do I need to get at the grocery store when I get there? What do I need to scope out so I can go for a walk or exercise during the week and whatnot and not let everything go by the wayside? So in a normal week for me, I would look at work and then I would look at usually my kids because I homeschool is another second priority. And then for that specific week, what is the third thing I really want to focus on in any given week? And then from there, I see if there's any space left, if there's any time left, what my energy is like, and then plan accordingly. So when you're planning for the week, also remember that different methods work for different people. So some people really need the dialed in, like, this is when I drive places. This is how long it's going to take. This is when I'm going to exercise. This is when I'm going to go for a walk. This is when I'm going to call my mom or whatever. Some people really need that time. And some people don't work better with themed days. Like on Mondays, this is when you do this type of thing. On Tuesdays, you do this type of thing. Other people need more space and can just work with a to-do list and then put it in. I have experience. I worked with people with ADHD and dyslexia and autism and different nonverbal processing disorders and whatnot for 5 years. And I can tell you that there is not one method that works for everybody, but trying different things consistently for a period of time and then wiggling it around to work for you is really where you're going to get the most where you're going to find it to be effective, that you're actually doing the thing that works for you. And also remembering that, we are all different people too, depending on our time and energy. So sometimes I really need to print out an hourly calendar when I feel like life is chaotic and get dialed in. Other times I'm like, things feel good. I know where I'm going. I have energy. I don't need the specific, this is what I'm doing when. So also understanding that as you change and flow, the way your method will likely change and move with you as well. All right, let's see here. Kimberly is saying, I'd love to hear more about the dynamics and planning with you and your husband because his last day at work is this Friday. He's getting laid off, so I'll be the sole income earner. He's going to be a stay-at-home dad. Oh, Kimberly. Well, I will tell you that, well, firstly, I should qualify this by saying every relationship is going to be different. My husband and I have In a lot of ways, very traditional relationship. In a lot of ways, we're very different than typical, perhaps married families. So my husband and I, we really, and I mentioned this because what works for me might not work for you. My husband and I are both very, very independent people, and we sort of don't always, we're not the best at like living life together in that way, to be honest. So if I were to give like a top tip on that, the thing that's worked well for me is only working from what I don't want to say this without, this is going to sound selfish as soon as I say it, but that's not what I mean. So I work based on what I need to do as the person who works full time. So I do work full time. And so because of that, my rocks, the things that have to happen, like this 10 a.m. call right now, classes I have to teach, meetings I have to be on, things that require me to be at my desk for something. Like when I record a weekly meditation, when we're doing 2 podcast episodes a week, right? Like all of those things, they require me to be at a desk where I can write from anywhere. I can respond to posts from anywhere. I can create new ideas from anywhere. But so I always start with what has to happen for me. And I've tried different things. What worked when my kids were younger, so depending on your kids' ages, was to print out an hourly calendar for the week. And I would put on there specifically, I'd highlight the times that I was unavailable to parent. And then my husband could see the times that he was going to have to parent. Now my kids are almost 7 and 9 currently, and it's a little different because they're more independent, but I still write on a calendar. We have a chalkboard, and every Sunday, so part of our Sunday cadence, I write on the chalkboard all of my work times, again, that I'm not available. My kids do some online classes and they do taekwondo and like group stuff. All those times go on there. So anything that has a time to it goes on the calendar, or goes on this chalkboard that we use. So the whole family, not just me, the kids, my husband, everybody can look at it and know what time somebody has to be somewhere. And then we also keep a family to-do list. And that is also on a chalkboard. And it's a running list of things that anybody can do or anybody can do with help. So if it's not person specific, it's on there. For example, our bathroom needs to be repainted. And so that's on that list. And it's on the list because I also think my kids obviously can't paint a bathroom by themselves, but they are big enough to take a roller brush and like roll brush a wall. So if there is time on a Tuesday, somebody can go grab something from the list and say, hey, let's do this together as a team. So that is sort of what we do, really making it clear, writing it down, the time commitments, so everybody knows about it and there's no question. And then any person in this house could feasibly do this task, laundry sorting and folding, vacuuming, anything at all, goes on that list. And of course, modeling my life does look different because we do homeschool. My kids are home all the time. And so we very much include them. We talk about our family as a community. We don't talk about our family as like mom and dad have to do things or that I have to do things. We talk about it as we look at our family very much as a community. So today, for example, I had to load up the car to go on this trip. My husband's having a little bit of a foot problem. So he's not being as helpful with carrying things. Normally he does all that, but he's in pain. And so I was like, oh, I'll do that. Don't worry. But we had some laundry that needed sorting and folding. And my kids, like any kids, were like, no, we're not doing this. They ran away yelling, making a whole thing out of it, And I just looked at them and I said, are you contributing to the community or are you not contributing to the community? And when you have an expectation that I contribute to something to you shortly, do you think I'm going to meet that expectation? So we're a community. If we don't all work together, what happens? And they, still fussed because they're kids, but they did it mostly sloppily, but the basket was empty and there were piles of, to each family member. And that is enough for me. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. It has to be done enough that it's done and we're good. So my other top tip for working with people in your household is to, and I've said this a bunch of times, but adjust your expectations, because your expectation for how it has to be done is your expectation. It is not somebody else's. So for how I would do something, if I want somebody else to do it, I'm gonna have to let them do it. As long as it's done, then that's the goal, right? What is the goal? The goal is that it's done and I don't have to do it. And if that's the goal, how they do it and what it looks like is just going to have to be okay. And then we have to adjust being okay with it. So in my long answer to that, with other people, I love having times written down so everybody knows who has to be where. And it's not on me to remember it. And we don't rely on, some families use a shared digital calendar for that. I think, Kimberly, you mentioned that you use a shared digital calendar. I tried doing that with my husband and my mom. My mom actually works for us. So I pay her, she works 16 hours a week, and the two of them could not. They were like, what are all these emails, invites to things? So we do it old school, written down, and then I will take a picture of it and text it if there's something that needs to be reminded, that I'm like, no one can forget this. But then for sharing the family load, we do any person in this house could feasibly do this list. So like a family to-do list. And again, we very much center it on being a community. So, thinking about our own community and how we would live in a community. And with children, I know not everybody here has young kids, but the way that because I know it's challenging to get kids buy-in. Like my kids don't just buy in, they balk and they yell and they do all the things kids do. But we talk about like our neighbor, and if we just left garbage all over our front yard and she had to look at that every day, is that being a good neighbor? Is that being a good community member? What would happen? She'd probably call the town on us. The police would come. We'd have to clean it up, right? Well, if we're a community in our house, it's the same thing. If we can't use the kitchen table because your stuff's all over it, that is doing the same disservice to us. And so we have these like community centered conversations in our household. And that's how that works. And then with that, adjusting expectations too, I think really just understanding strengths and weaknesses. So it's not my husband's strength to manage the kids' schedules and time, and it's very overwhelming to him. So I do that, but then I make sure I write it down. So then once it's written down, he has the tools to follow through with it. So it doesn't work for us. Not that he can't, it doesn't work for us to have him spearhead that. So I spearhead it, and then I give him the tool to implement it. Right. And then he does what he's good at. I do what I'm good at. And I think that when I say that we're non-traditional, I think that's the thing that makes us more non-traditional, is we don't do a lot of this. I don't know even how to explain it. Like I said, we're just both very independent. We don't share a bank account even though I work and he doesn't. So, we make that work even, but that's different. We're just both like our space. We like being in charge of the things we're in charge in, and then working together as a community. And that works really well for us. And he doesn't expect me to do things that are just not my zone of genius. And also that expectation bit, like he's more tidy than I am. So for things like cleaning the bathroom, I'm more than capable of cleaning the bathroom. I'm a grown woman, but he doesn't like the way I clean it. Like he doesn't think it's clean enough. So then he cleans it and, we don't argue about it. But then I do the kids' scheduling and we don't argue about it. So it's really, rather than saying like, well, I did it last time, now it's your turn. It's more, what are you best at? And what am I best at? And let's just not fight about it. But it took time to get there, because for a few years we did a lot of that. Well, I just did that. Well, why don't you do it? You should be able to do this. And it was a lot of arguing. But astrology really helped me work through that also to stop that arguing. All right, Kimberly, I hope you found something in there that's helpful. I think letting go of expectations, and I love a visual that everybody can see for what needs to be done. We've also tried, this is not my method. I did not make this up. A woman named Rachel Rainbolt. She's a therapist, and she does like family coaching for used to be homeschool people. I don't know what she does. No, she's written some books about like relaxed homeschooling and whatnot, but she did this program where for kids, it's called the bucket system. So again, I did not come up with this. Rachel Rainbolt did it, but the short and dry of it, we don't use it fully in our house anymore. We do like sometimes, but where you take clothespins and you write the things that need to be done on a clothespin, and then you clip them to a bucket. And then every single day, everybody who has a bucket, their jobs are to do the things, plop them in the bucket. And when the bucket's done, you're free for the day to do what you will. You want to watch TV for 4 hours? Have at it. And then having a household bucket where these are the things that have to be done for the household every day, and nobody moves forward until the household bucket is done. We've done that. But because we travel so much, I found it frustrating to carry the stuff everywhere around. So we don't use the method, but that's kind of what we move from in our mind. So these are the things that have to happen. Yes, Sage family, Athena. Yeah. These are the things that have to happen in our household in order for us all to move forward. So we don't move forward until the kitchen table's cleaned off. We don't move forward if there's a bathroom towel on the floor. Like we just don't move forward. So if the whole family wants to go out and get ice cream, or we want to put a movie on, no one does it until the whole family has moved forward with the thing. And sometimes sometimes I'll be honest, it's like a showdown, sometimes there's the kids scream and yell like kids do. And it's an hour later, drag on their feet. No one's done it. And then everyone goes to bed with no movie and no ice cream. But we really are like, well, we're a family, we're a community. The community rises and falls together. If the whole community doesn't take care of their garbage, we all live in a garbage heap. And so you got to really be willing to hold your boundary with it. But that is how we operate. We use that as kind of like the place where we come back to in our household. All right, let's see here. So just looking back at any questions. Oh, Sharon's saying my husband should create a TSC support group. Oh my gosh, I know. My husband needs a TSC support group. My husband's we're very different. My husband and I are wildly different. We have like very different values in some areas. And so I say all of this, and it's not like my family's sunshine and rainbows and we're just like dancing around in a cloud of community that does all these things. It's been a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. But I think lowering expectations is the biggest thing that has worked for us. Vicky's got your week planned out. Let's see here. Jennifer manages calendar for the week. Everything on working hours. Let's see. Oh, Brenda's asking about the mastermind. Brenda, if you email us, Jenna and Anna can get you any information that you need. Oh, Renee says that's me. My stuff's all over the table. Yeah. So our house, if those of you who don't know, as I share all of this also, part of our lifestyle choices, we live in a house that's roughly 1,500 square feet. About 950 or so of that is the main house. So about 950 is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, our living room, and our kitchen. And then the rest of the house is like a 250, 350 square foot entryway that my exercise equipment is in. So when you walk in our house, my rowing, it's right there because there's nowhere to put it. Our shoes, coats. And then we have a third room, which is where I'm working from. That used to be a garage. And so we have a small round kitchen table for 4, and we don't have like lots of surface area. So in our house, it's very much like if somebody doesn't do the thing that they are tasked to do, we all notice it because the house caves in on us really, really fast. And somebody's got to take care of the things. All right. So think about this for the week ahead. And this is a good point too, actually, to transition to the last thought bit that I'm going to do today. And also when things aren't working. So I wanted to share this quote that Sarah Kearney shared: "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." And this, I think, is actually a perfect example of this, because if you have the best of intentions and you sit down today and you make the week and you like put all the plans out and nobody follows them, you're going to feel like you're in your own hell, right? You're just going to be arguing. It's going to be like chaos. You might be crying because you did this and no one's listening. You feel all alone and it's not working, and all these things. And then we feel like all the good intentions led to our own personal hell, right? So I love that this ties in when you find yourself with these good intentions, you've set the goals, you've done the things, and it just doesn't work. Again, remember, I'm here to tell you it doesn't always work for me either. So sometimes it's just an off week and it's just not good. But try to recenter for the next week. And that's where these practices on Sunday, where I'm asking you to look ahead, really make it a sacred practice. Like reflect on last week. What needs to be released? Okay. So you asked somebody to use the calendar and they didn't use it. You made a family to-do list and no one did anything. Everybody yelled and moaned about it. And then you felt like you had to do it all still. Release last week. Last week is not today. What needs to change about your communication? What strategy are you going to try different this week? Are you going to try the, like, you know what? I'm just not going to do any of the stuff on the list and see what happens a week from now. Just see what happens. Life might be worse. It might be the same. It might be better. You don't know until you try. So make it a sacred practice of detaching, releasing the energy of last week, and you're moving into a new 7-day period where you can set a new vision. You can make new rituals. You can have new connection. You can try a different way of thinking. You can say less. You don't have to, you can talk less this week and just see if talking less at people helps to motivate them. You could just forgive yourself if you were like, man, I didn't even set the example last week. No wonder anyone's doing anything or not doing anything. So I love this quote of the road to hell is paved with good with intentions, because I think that actually is so true, that we set intentions for ourselves. Now, remember the way we teach this here, intentions, we set how you want to feel. So lunar intentions, emotional based. How do I want to feel? Solar goals. What do I have to do to make it happen? Yes or no, I did or didn't feel that way. Now, goal and intention can be synonyms. You can use them interchangeably. And I think that whenever you hear like a proverb or something like this, remember many of the proverbs, not all of them, but a lot that sort of circulate America are from Christian men in like the 1700s. So like keep that in mind, firstly. Very much trying to remind people to be good and pious and like be heavenly and don't do anything out of sorts. But I think that this really, if you're in holistic witchery in particular, reminds us that it's there. We can all have intentions. Like, I intend to feel confident. I intend to feel calm this week. I intend to feel focused. I'm going to do all this stuff. But if we don't act on it, or then that would be the next step in the 5 eyes. Then the next one, shadow work. If we let all our shadows and our resentment from last week, because here you go again, I'm just here doing everything for everybody, and I'm resentful and mad. Your shadow comes up. You don't take the action. You weren't clear on what you actually needed from people, or you didn't actually ask what you needed from people. You didn't empower them to take the action in the end, right? Then all you have is good intentions that leave you feeling chaotic and leave you feeling frustrated. And I think that that's why we teach this in the spiral that we do, because we start with, how do I want to feel? Then we must act on it. And if we don't act on it, part of what we can do on a Sunday is say, man, I really thought I would go for a walk 5 times last week and I didn't do it at all. What's that about? What is that about? I want to feel like I can walk a mile and breathe and feel good about it. And I didn't do anything. What is coming up in my life? What shadow thing is coming up? Where did I not carve out the time? Or where was I not honest with myself about what I was willing to do and not willing to do? Where am I trying to pull one over on myself? So I think when we set these intentions, how do we want to feel? The process of, what does it look like to take action? Where am I stuck in my own stories and my own energy? What's stuff from the past? What is just fueled from society and some other standard of expectation around money or beauty or how life should work or how marriages should be or parenting should be or what a good daughter looks like to an aging parent? I was talking about this with a group of y'all the other day with relatives with dementia, and like this expectation about how we should be grieving, what we think this being a good daughter or good granddaughter in my case looks like. And a lot of this is expectation other people put on us and that we then put on ourselves for no real good reason. So I would even argue the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The road to hell is paved with expectations. The road to hell is paved with the thoughts we think about ourselves, the things that we think should be easier than they are, right? All of these, the regrets that we have, the regrets we hold on to and we don't move away from, and we let those eat us alive, the guilt, I think that's our that's what's paving that road for us in the world we live in right now. But yeah, that quote, it brought up, there was some feedback. And I think Sarah's point was like, oh, we talk about intentions as this good thing, but here's this proverb, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're totally going to talk about that because I love that. And I actually, again, any proverb from a Christian priest of some kind from the 1700s is probably not how I'm going to measure my life, but I understand it because I think that when we take action based on, when we don't take action, for one, we set intentions and we don't take action. But I think the other way of looking at that is we think that we're doing good because we're trying to fulfill some expectation or we're trying to be good only to cause chaos in our lives or somebody else's. Kind of like a parent who might not stop parenting an adult child, or like if you have a friend or a family member who always needs rescuing, like they always need money, they always need rescuing, and you just keep rescuing them. And that's like with good intentions, but you're not helping anybody. Like you're not helping them, you're not helping yourself. So I understand the sentiment of the phrase in a couple different ways. And I think that it also highlights the fact that we want to look at, well, how do I want to feel and why? And what do I need to do to feel that way? What's the shadow work that has to happen to understand this? Is this really what I want? Future visioning, giving yourself permission to vision and dream, I think is all part of that as well. All right, I'm gonna scan back through the comments and then I'm gonna let y'all go and hit the road for my little journey up to Massachusetts today. Janie is sharing, get so frustrated. So I always run out of space on my desk. I don't ever have enough working room. Janie, I wish you could see my desk. I don't wish you could see that. It's embarrassing. But I feel you. Sharon says, I'm learning to look and see what sign the moon will be moving through during the week, how I can use that to lean into the energies. As a Cancer sun, Cancer rising, the moon affects me a lot. Yeah, I love that, Sharon. It's a great strategy from a fellow Cancer rising. Carol, the week is messed up for me. I'm going out of town, so I don't really have plans except for going out of town. I tend to start back when I get back home. Keeping up with the challenges, not sure I'll be able to catch up. All good. You can always start over again. Renee is literally making her family to-do list right now. Yes, I love our family to-do list. I love it, love it, love it. And then we do keep I keep a running list of things that my husband or I have to, like the kids can't do. Those would be things like calling like homeowners insurance for like rates, things like that. I can't really think. Like honestly, we empower our kids to do a lot of stuff because I feel like I have the opportunity to do that. So I do that. And laundry, or not laundry, garbage. Like I had to change our credit card number for our garbage invoicing, the garbage pickup truck. We pay every quarter for that. And like my kids can't do that. So those kinds of things. We keep an ongoing list of that stuff that has to be done. And then just try to chip away at it. So Maureen says, we're not meant to be perfect, angelic humans, just human. Exactly. Oh, Renee's pretty angelic. All right, let's see here. Yeah, new day every day, Melinda says. Exactly. Sharon sharing 100%, trying to be the perfect Pinterest mom of 3 while also taking care of my mom and skilled nursing, run my own biz. Too many expectations. I'll get it done when I get it done. Yes, Sharon, I hate to take over conversations with parenting stuff because I know it's not everybody's where you are, but I can say, as I think, apply it to your life as you will. But I work full time. I'm a business owner. I homeschool. And I was a former teacher, so I'm certified to teach, have my master's degree in education. And letting go of what I thought like being a good homeschool mom looked like, and just being and realizing that like they're going to get what they need. And I think the way that we live our lives too, where they're with younger people and older people all the time. I mean, my kids interact with people in their 80s and 90s every single week. And like the community that we have, that they are part of, the different things they see with work. Like my daughter made the coffee chat graphic. She's 9 for this week. She wanted to make some money for our Salem trip. And I told her, I paid her $2 to make, I had $2 cash on my person. And I was like, what could you do for $2? And she practiced making this graphic. And I was like, I really had to let go though of feeling like a failure, and then also judgments that come with it. Because, my kids do things they later than standard public school kids as a result of the way we live our lives. So when other people cast judgments on them, me not wavering in what I know to be true for us. And so I think that can relate to you, whether that's trying to make an energetic change in your house, something with your food, something with your finances, selling everything and moving. I don't like whatever, downsizing, upsizing, moving to another country, understanding your convictions and then having the confidence to not waver in them when societal expectations come into play, or family members who will give you their 2 cents that you didn't ask for. Really coming back to, again, every week for the week ahead, what is my vision for my life? How do I want to feel? And what am I doing to feel that way? And then when you find yourself not doing it, not following those good intentions, why? What is it about the way you want to feel, the things you said you would do? What is coming up for you that's getting in the way? And how do you shift that one thing at a time? Because it really is one thing at a time. Christiana shared, I've been breaking baby steps into micro baby steps to get out of the loop of feeling like I've let myself down by not meeting my own expectations. Also, my big 3 are in air, recognizing that time put aside to vision is important, and actions. Yeah, I love that, Christiana. Like even baby steps can be made more micro and just get really, really small with one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Margot, need to empower mind, incredibly intelligent, always ask them whether they'd rather learn it now while they're young or be thrown into it as adults. Let's see here. Kimberly is, oh yeah, the homeschooling. I could talk forever on that topic. Maybe we have to make like a sub group for the people interested in that. Let's see here. Yeah, Tammy did it before it was cool. Yes, the rise in homeschooling has been wild, absolutely wild. Jean is sharing, my partner only works very part-time and is home way more than me. He'll do almost anything, but I realized I would walk in after work and see if one thing was out of place or a few cups. I would freak out and get very resentful and angry. So I've been working on letting that go and giving him to do a project list because he doesn't see what I see. Yeah, that too. I love that you said that. They don't see, we just see things different, also perceive things differently. Yeah. Working on using my time more productively for my self-care. Yes. All right. Preemie steps, Renee said. Yeah, for sure. Amy says, I interrupted my father-in-law last night since he interrupted me while I was talking and surprised everyone at the table. Go, Amy. All right, y'all. So the highlight reel, vision for the week ahead. And you cast your vision, make it a sacred moment, detach from last week, detach from any resentments, any guilt, any shame around what you said you might have done, you wanted to do, but didn't do. It's a whole new vision. What is the vision for this week? Remember that the method you use to plan and live and do all this might change from time to time. Keep working at it until you find something that does work for you. Your family looks different than my family. Our brains work different. So you got to play with it, take what I'm saying and, mold it into your life and your energy. And then this idea of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I feel like I totally get that statement, but I think that we want to have the good intentions and we want to understand, how do we want to feel? Where is it coming from? Tear that apart, because I think the real road to hell is paved with expectations, regrets, the guilt we hold on to, the resentments. Let it all go. Understand how you want to feel, and just keep at it. And I see I've got so many ideas here. I just saw Vicky's. I do need to go. I told these people we need to leave at 10:45, but I love what Vicky's sharing here. The husband's resentment of you sleeping in when he has to go to work. And I could definitely speak to that. We're the opposite. My husband sleeps late. But how I shifted that, without my husband changing. So in this case, Vicky, without you changing, how you can, in your relationship, how to manage that. Because my husband did not change, and I'm mostly not resentful. Of course, resentment is something that comes up, which is why we always do shadow work. And I could definitely have a whole talk on that. All right. I need to stop writing it down and actually go. It was great chatting with y'all. I'll see you. We do not have a coffee chat next Sunday. Next Sunday's coffee chat has been replaced with an Expedition to Soul event. I have to tell you about this, and then I'll go. We hit 1 million podcast downloads. Color me surprised. I mean, obviously I saw it coming because we see the numbers, but it happened we jumped pretty quickly in the last 2 months. And so 1 million podcast downloads. And to celebrate 1 million podcast downloads, we are hosting a 4-day YouTube live event. So it will be on YouTube so that anybody can attend. Not anybody can watch the videos here in our community group. I do these live, special for people in the community group. And it will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I think 4 days. And I want to say it is early. I think it's 10 a.m. Eastern time that I'm doing it each day. It's an Expedition to Soul event. So any of y'all who've been with us since 2019, I think, when we started doing those, it's a modified version of the old school free Expedition to Soul event we used to host. It's modified, a little different, but we are going to do those starting on Friday to celebrate 1 million podcast downloads and our appreciation for everybody who's listening and being part of the community here at the Sisters Enchanted. So there will not be a Sunday coffee chat next week. Expedition to Soul will be happening, and I hope that some of you come and hang out. And you can go over to our YouTube and click the button to be notified of those. And Joanne, they will be recorded so you can watch them afterwards as well and enjoy that event. So I'm excited to host that and do something fun. So we'll see you for that event starting on Friday. All right, y'all. Well, have a great week. I'll see you in 2 weeks for coffee chat, and I'll see you next Sunday as part of Expedition to Soul on YouTube. So you got to head over there and get all the info. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye. If you love the podcast, be sure to leave us a rating or a review. That helps us to get the word out about all we're doing here at the Sisters Enchanted. Thanks for being part of our community, and we'll see you in the next episode.